From the latest technology in cell phones to the coolest creations in electric vehicles, we'll take you inside the world's biggest tech event. All the highlights from the Mobile World Congress in Spain with AI front and center. Hello everyone, I'm Asiye Namdar in for Anna Naidu and you're watching The Heat. Bendable phones, see-through laptops, a groundbreaking app that will start your car by you just looking at your phone, all on display at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. We begin with this report from Ken Brown.
The Mobile World Congress, delivering every techie's dream. Artificial intelligence has been center stage this year, and you can expect this AI assistant greeting you at reception at your next hotel getaway. Or need a trusty digital doggo? This friendly AI pet cyberdog from China's Xiaomi can entertain you and even help operate home appliances. The tech giant has also seen growth opportunities on 4 wheels and showcased this beauty, the SU7 Max electric car that goes 800 kilometers on a single charge. How about cool wearables from phone to fashion accessories by Motorola, which belongs to Lenovo? We're seeing a lot of China-EU collaborations too, like this one that has brought Italian coffee to the streets of Shenzhen. Lattes by a robot barista.
It's incredible this year. Officially, the number says that there are about more than 300 exhibitors from China, Chinese company. It's unthinkable to think about the World Mobile Congress without Chinese company. Will not be World Mobile Congress.
This year's crowd pleaser was none other than Ameka, the world's most advanced humanoid robot. She can speak 21 languages and has an answer for everything. Just don't ask her what she eats.
What is the funniest question that I have been asked in Barcelona? I have been asked if I like to eat microchips. Yes, is the answer. I am a robot and my favorite food is microchips, indeed.
The biggest show in tech wraps up on Thursday. Flying taxis, holograms, and the next generation robots are off for an update. While this Astrolab's moon cruiser is ready to be blasted into outer space on one of Elon Musk's SpaceX rockets. See these little cabins here? You can send whatever you want to the moon for just $10 million. A real bargain. Ken Brown, CGTN, Barcelona.
So much to talk about. Let's bring in our panel. Joining us from California, Amr Abawatdallah is the founder and CEO of Vectora Inc., a generative AI company. From New York, Winston Ma, an adjunct professor at New York University's Law School and author of The Digital War, How China's Tech Power Shapes the Future of AI, Blockchain, and Cyberspace. Also from California, Tom Talley is an AI columnist and author of Artificial Intelligence Basics, a non-technical introduction. And finally, in Beijing, Andy Mok, a senior research fellow at the Center for China and Globalization. Gentlemen, welcome to the program. A lot of exciting stuff is happening when it comes to technology, when it comes to AI, and we saw so much of it at this conference in Barcelona. Xiaomi, the Chinese company, really making a big splash. And Andy, I'm going to pose this question to you. Their phone they introduced looks nothing like my iPhone. It does all kinds of fancy stuff when it comes to videography, when it comes to photography. Xiaomi also made its debut in Europe, a fancy new electric car. Let's listen to what we heard from William Liu, the company president, and then my question for Andy.
The entire Xiaomi ecosystem is focused on personal devices such as mobile phones, tablets, and now our cars too, our new energy, smart electric vehicles, and other tech throughout our homes. What we need is to connect all our devices with the power of AI capabilities so we can better serve human needs.
Is this really about human needs, Andy? What does it mean for Xiaomi? What does it mean when it comes to competition from Apple and Samsung?
Sure. Well, I think it certainly is about human need, but not entirely about human need. So I think back to what Henry Ford said when he pioneered the automobile, in that he said that if you asked consumers what they wanted, they would tell you faster horses. So I think what makes Xiaomi distinctive here is not just its technical engineering and product development ability, but the vision to see an entire ecosystem where your home, your mobility needs are all connected and integrated and powered by artificial intelligence. And of course, it's not just a vision, but of course, their ability to implement that vision by designing products, more importantly, manufacturing them and distributing them in such a way that consumers want to buy them. So I think this is what we're seeing happen today, not just with Xiaomi, but companies around the world, but in particular, Chinese companies.
And what about exploring the EV market with this fancy schmancy new electric vehicle?
Yeah, I think that's exactly a part of this. So I think what Xiaomi has done is articulated a very comprehensive vision, acted on that vision, but it starts with really understanding the consumer. And again, we can think about the difference between consumer wants, which again, to use the Henry Ford example, they might say, I want a faster horse. But what they really need is an effective transportation or mobility solution. So I think the big winners here, whether it'll be Xiaomi, whether it's Apple, whether it's some other company, is their ability to effectively identify innate human needs, whether that's for mobility, whether that's for nutrition, whether that's for companionship, and implement that in this new age of artificial intelligence, where we have to remember that artificial intelligence here is not just generative AI, which the world is all talking about today, but things like computer vision, like AI-powered robotics, where artificial intelligence can understand real-world cause and effects. What happens if you push on a particular object at a certain velocity with certain force, et cetera. And this is, I think, what makes this such an exciting time, and what we're seeing powering so many of these exciting innovations at MWC this year.
You know, another company that's causing a lot of excitement is another Chinese company, Honor. It has developed an eye tracking AI function. I'm going to use my good old iPhone here. So basically, I take my phone, I look at whatever the app on my phone, and it can actually move the vehicle. It can start the engine. It can go backwards, forwards. I mean, you name it. So Amr, let me turn to you. This is certainly exciting. Yes, we all know it. But why? Why do we need something like that?
I think that's the age-old question, like, why do humans do everything that we do? I mean, what separates us as humans from all other creatures on this planet, you name it, monkeys, horses, elephants, is our ability to create tools that make us much more powerful. And
but
I think
who
at
does
the end
that
of the day,
appeal to? Who is the consumer? Obviously, people with a lot of money who would want to, instead of clicking from far and opening their door, they want to actually start their car and use their vision on an app. I mean, okay, maybe I'm just really old-fashioned, but is this really necessary is what I'm asking.
Yeah, that's what we say at the beginning when these technologies appear, but then we start using them because they make us a lot more efficient. We can do things way quicker, way easier. I have the Apple Vision Pro. I was one of the people that forked off that $4,000 to get one of those. And the Apple Vision Pro does have this eye tracking thing, and it's very convenient. Like the fact that I can just sit there, and when I want to pick something, I just look at it, and I can pick that window. And
so you're the prime consumer.
I'm an early adopter. Not the prime, I'm an early adopter, yes, but you will be at some point as well. I think as you see us becoming a lot more productive with using these things, like same thing with the iPhone at the beginning, like very few people used it, and then the others saw how productive they're becoming with it, and how more efficient they're becoming with it, and how more connected they're becoming with it, and they start becoming jealous and say, hey, I want to have the same capabilities that this person have. And that's typical with any piece of new technology. I want to note something very interesting, by the way. It's very interesting you're showing Xiaomi with their new cars and how of course, Xiaomi, as we know, they started as a mobile phone manufacturer. We have big news here in the Silicon Valley. Yesterday, Apple decided to stop building a car. They were thinking about building one, and just yesterday they announced they're not going to do that anymore, and they stopped that team from building the car, and instead they shifted a lot of the resources to work on AI instead.
Oh, that is interesting. Well, anytime you have new technology, especially with eye tracking AI function, Wi-Fi is involved. Let's listen to James Brighton, an engineer expert, what he had to say about Honor's, this whole eye thing with starting the car. Let's take a listen.
So the phone itself is communicating with the vehicle control systems via a Wi-Fi link, and then the onboard computers on the vehicle are then doing the sequence of functions in order to execute the motions that we require.
Wi-Fi is involved here. Not surprising. Tom, let me turn to you. Safety and security problems, hacking risks.
Yeah, a lot of these technologies are at the experimental stage. They're not necessarily ready for prime time. So it's a lot of excitement, a lot of cool things going on. But when it comes to actually using these in real life situations, it can get dicey. And we've already saw that this week past week with Google with their Gemini system, which was drawing images that offended some people, and Google had to stop it. And that's not a security risk, but that just shows that when you have technology and it's new and it's emerging, and it's based on technology we don't necessarily completely understand, it can go off the rails, especially when we go and make it mainstream or take it mainstream too quickly. And yes, when it comes to my eyeballs or my body, and those are kinds of things that are kind of very personal to me. So it goes way beyond your name or social security number that's been stolen. So yes, I think a lot of these issues need to be worked out, but I think we're moving so fast, we really haven't paid enough attention to these issues, and it's going to come back to haunt some of these companies.
And in terms of challenges of regulating AI, what does the future of AI regulation even look like? And I'm going to pose that question to Winston.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm the only law school professor here, right? So what we have seen is that China has been at the frontier of AI regulation, and it's a natural evolution from China's regulation last year relating to the metaverse. Right, earlier Tom mentioned about Apple's Vision Pro. That means our internet is going from two-dimensional screen internet interaction into three-dimensional interactive experiences for the users. Right. So from a data privacy and a data security perspectives, all the existing issues will be amplified by the two-dimension to three-dimension explosion, and then AI obviously adding on to it, because the models are all trained by data, and the user data are at the heart of AI applications. So therefore, AI regulation probably will start with data regulation, privacy and security, and then it will go into a higher level of regulation relating to human preferences and human values and human ethics.
But Winston, who decides who's going to do this? I mean, who decides what should be policed, who should be policed, how, by whom? Where do you even begin?
Yes. Now, the good thing is we're not at the beginning of this thing, right? If you recall 2017, there was a recent AI rush as well. If you recall, there was a historical chess game hosted by China between the best human player of Go chess and the AI algorithm of DeepMind, now part of Google, right? At that time, right after the right after the algorithm of DeepMind beat the human player 3-0, there was a shock to the internet community as well. And then the global stakeholders have started that conversation already. You know, the governments, think tanks, forums, obviously academics, right? We already had that conversation. And this time, I think it's because of generated AI. And the big difference of generative AI is that it may scale far more quickly. So the issue becomes a lot more acute, right? But you know, like the global stakeholders, the global community has started the conversation several years ago. So now it's just kind of a time to accelerate that conversation, and then to develop a more consensus, you know, across governments, forums, academics, and other interested parties.
Amr, I see you shaking your head.
Yeah, because I agree fully with that. Like we need to achieve a lot more consensus between all of us. And in some countries, it's easier to regulate, and others, it's harder to regulate. But we absolutely need more regulation when it comes to this. I am a fan. I am a supporter of that, because these technologies can be abused in a very, very bad way. And if we don't have regulation that prevents that abuse from taking place, then people will take advantage of it in these nefarious ways. So I agree with that. That said, I was also smiling because if you look at the next things coming, what we have right now, yes, we're at the beginning. They're very simple stuff, but the chips that go in our brains are happening right now. There's many companies in China working on chips that go inside of our brain. So instead of your cell phone in your hand, your cell phone is in there. And Neuralink, which is one of Elon Musk's companies, 2 weeks ago, they already had a demo here of somebody with the chip fully implemented in their brain, just looking at their computer and not even looking, like they can have their eyes closed, just thinking what they want. And the mouse would move in the way they're thinking. So they are communicating directly from their brain to the computer. So we absolutely need to have regulations around how that's going to be impacting us.
Yeah, I don't want anyone to know what I'm thinking most of the time. Are any of you concerned about staggering job losses with this technology? AI will replace around 85 million jobs in the US by 2025. And I want to pose this question to all of you. Is that something we should really be worried about? And what jobs do you think are most at risk? And please don't say my job, journalism, because I think we are definitely needed. Let me begin with you, Andy. What do you think?
Well, I think this certainly is part of a broader issue of regulation. And I think Winston makes some great points here from a legal perspective. But I would like to add that all of these questions, disruption to jobs, privacy, et cetera, are all inherently political questions as to who will be the winners and who will be the losers. And I think even some of the pioneers of AI in the United States, such as Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, has expressed tremendous concern about this. And here, I think I should say that, I think China's government is very well positioned to manage these issues. And this issue includes what happens if AI does end up replacing many jobs. The more optimistic view is that it will make jobs better, and AI will act as a co-pilot, not to replace someone, whether it's a journalist, whether it's a scientist, whether it's a lawyer, but actually works to enhance that person's job. If we look at the history of technology, there's always a lot of fear going back to the Luddites in England with the textile machines. But history has shown that it actually creates many more jobs than it destroys. But at the same time, there are real human costs. These do need to be mitigated. In any just and humane society, something must be done to protect the people who are negatively impacted.
Tom, and then Winston, do you agree with what Andy had to say?
To some extent, but I do think that, and I take it more from the standpoint of the United States, that we're usually not prepared for these things, whether it be regulation or changes in technology, because we have this ethos of just allowing things to happen, and the wild, wild west and laissez-faire, and let's just see where it goes. And I think that really helps with innovation, but it could have some adverse effects on society and people. And there was a story this week about a company called Klarna. They're a fintech company, I think based in Europe, and they've implemented OpenAI technology for their customer support function. And they found that it can handle just a very high percentage of what can be done by humans. And if there's one area I think that is a target for this technology is customer service, and those are millions of jobs across the world. So how those are replaced or where they go, I don't know, but there's no plans in the United States to handle that. And I do think that the technology is going to run a lot faster than our government can.
Winston, does China have a plan for the potential job losses because of artificial intelligence?
I think China does. Actually, it started years ago, right after the Wuzhen chess game, 2017. Yeah, because 2017, in connection with that shock to the community, China launched a series of policies. Obviously there was the industry policy to set the goal to essentially to say that China will become the global AI leader by 2030. So we'll see, right? And then it puts a lot of government investments and research support into the industries. But at the same time, China also launched a big academic push, at 2017. Right after that, China started the plan to start to have 100 universities to have AI major, right? And that's a lot of kind of training, education effort, for the next generation. Now, of course, we have to deal with the existing generation, and for that, China probably has the most education type of driven culture. So you can be sure there will be a lot of training service providers and certification programs out there for the existing generation. And for that, I mean just people in their 30s, 40s, still working at the internet companies included, to get into this new wave of AI.
Let me move on to ChatGPT. A lot of people are starting to use it more and more, whether it's their profile photo, whether it's dating app, their resume. I wanted to find out for myself how accurate it was. So I created an account, I went on there, and I don't know if you guys know, but I'm an Iranian American, but I was not born in Iran. And I asked ChatGPT where I was born. Keep in mind, I was not born in Iran. So let's put on the screen the question I asked, and I asked where was Asiye Namdar born, and as you can, I don't know if you can see it, but it says Asiye Namdar was born in Iran. She has Persian heritage. She later moved to the United States, where she pursued her education and eventually began her career in journalism. Everything is correct, except my main question. I was not born in Iran, and I was born in Pakistan. So clearly, ChatGPT can get it wrong, gentlemen. How is this something that's still in the works? I mean, clearly mistakes are made, and this is not even a big deal. This is not serious, but it just shows you that you can't really 100% all the time count on accuracy and reliability. Amr, let me go to you.
Yes, so in fact, that's what my company Victara specializes in, is helping businesses to leverage things like ChatGPT, or these, we refer to them as large language models, to be more accurate and not make mistakes like that born in Iran mistake that just showed up right there. And this issue happens with systems like ChatGPT. We call them large language models, or LLMs for short, because they're compressing down information too much. So as a function of that compression, when they're trying to answer a question back, they end up having to make up stuff. And that making up stuff is what causes these things to happen. We call them hallucinations. That's the technical term, actually, for these things, when the model makes up something. But there's ways to mitigate it, and our company has one of these techniques. And I expect by the end of this year, most of us will be able to get this unfactual aspect of the large language models to be under control. So I'm very optimistic about that.
And again, as I mentioned, that was just something small. There's so many other concerns, racial discrimination, biases, fake news. I mean, you name it. I mean, there's clearly a lot of promise, but artificial intelligence also has a lot of pitfalls. Before we wrap up the show, I want to really get some insight into your own personal experiences. How do you use artificial intelligence in your daily lives? Do you? Tom, let me begin with you.
Yeah, I mean, I use ChatGPT every day. And, like you, I find the inaccuracies. But the way to try to handle that is I will ask to provide sources, to back up that information, such as links to the internet, so I can make sure that the information, I can review it and better review it to make sure that information is correct. So there are ways to kind of deal with this information in a better way. And I also do a lot of programming, computer programming, and ChatGPT is amazing to do that. I can ask it to write JavaScript scripts or whatever, and it Python scripts, and it does it. It's amazing. So there's a lot of things I use ChatGPT for, but you always have to review it and check it before you go ahead with whatever that information it provides you.
Gentlemen, we're running out of time, but I want to get to all of you. Andy, what about you?
Sure. Well, very briefly, I do use all sorts of AI models, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, the alphabet one, Chinese ones as well. I think of them as a substitute, and if you think of it as a substitute to a research assistant, someone human, it's actually not bad. I mean, because humans make mistakes too, and I think that the trend is very clear. It's only going to get better.
Amr, and then very quickly, Winston.
Sure. Yeah, so very quickly, first, you are using AI. All of us are using AI day in and day out. Sometimes we don't know we're using it when we are using it, right? So when you scan your credit card for a transaction, there is an AI checking it for fraud. When you get an email, there's an AI checking if it's spam. So right now, I'm using AI to filter out noise. I have a dog barking beside me. I have my kids playing outside, and you don't hear them. I have an AI that generated this background behind me. This is not a real background. This is what my real background looks like, right? And I can use it to change my voice. If my voice is very weak, I can make my voice stronger. So we are all using AI in a very significant way. And I think the bottom line is it's making us more efficient, more productive in everything that we do.
Winston, very quickly, less than 10 seconds, please.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like we're using AI in many places without knowing. And for example, like a WhatsApp, maybe there's a AI connecting point there that taking all the information analyzes. And that's another layer of data privacy issues.
All right, we'll leave it there. Andy, Amr, Winston, Tom, thank you to you all, gentlemen. We'll have to leave it there. I'm Asiya Inamdar in Washington, D.C. Thanks for watching another edition of The Heat.